Your diet is not just what you eat, but it's what you take in consciously, what you take in energetically. You see, we must begin to understand that we are energetic beings walking around with a massive electromagnetic field. And so, what we emit from our internal then goes out and becomes what we attract. So, things like music, food, and thoughts all carry an energetic vibration. So take thoughts, for example. If we are constantly living from this place of fear, worry, doubt, shame, and guilt, that inner talk is centered around those things. All those emotions, right? Energy and motion carry a low vibration. So we must begin to understand that the same way that we can choose to feel those things, choose to think those things about ourselves, we can also choose to think new things about ourselves, think new ways to perceive our reality. But it starts with understanding that there's a conscious part and a subconscious part. And a lot of the reasons why we may feel these ways about ourselves stems from that subconscious part of self. So we have to be willing to, one, ascend and feed ourselves new inner talk, which allows us to operate outside of those old loops, but also be willing to go into the roots of where those old limiting beliefs stem from. And so that can happen by accessing your subconscious mind with things like meditation, with things like affirmation and inner inner child healing, right? One thing that helped me through my journey is journaling about what I'm observing in any aspects of life. And this allows you to talk with your subconscious. And once you give yourself a chance to start operating and feeding yourself new inner talk, you begin to raise your vibration, and it gives you a chance to see yourself outside of those old limiting beliefs that you once knew. So that gives you the light to be able to walk into those subconscious waters and begin to heal yourself and begin to transmute that energy, no longer allowing your past to define you, but allowing it to be the catalyst into that new version of you. But it starts by feeding yourself new vibrational inner talk, by choosing to see yourself in new light. And so now, the same way that emotions can carry a vibration, food and music and TV shows can carry that same vibration. Take food, for example. You're going to find your low vibrational food when you are eating things like McDonald's, that processed food, your Doritos, your Lay's chips, your cereal that everybody likes. If you look at some cereal boxes, it'll literally tell you contains bioengineered food. What that means is it was chemically processed in a lab. And why it is low vibrational is because these are foods that are dead. They have no liveliness to it. And for my meat eaters, this is no hate, it's just facts. You are eating dead animal. So that is going to carry a low vibration, right? So we have to begin to understand the energetics of what we are doing to our body so that we can begin to elevate. And so it starts with trying to move to foods that are more natural, that are more alive, that carry a more high vibrational scale. In the resource tab, I'm going to leave both the emotional scale balance, but also there was a picture of what an aura of a fruit looks like when it's cooked versus when it hasn't been cooked. And it gets me to my point is that when we are going and transitioning, you know, it is okay to cook your vegetables, but it's also being aware that when we cook it and we apply that heat, we're taking away that those nutrients from the vegetables. But the main goal of this is to move towards a more natural diet, a more natural way of eating so that we can eat those high vibrational foods. And so when you're looking to move to eating fruits and vegetables, try looking up a locals farmers market that is near you. because a lot of these private corporations now are starting to, well, they've been doing this, but it's getting like real fakey fake. They're starting to genetically modify the food to a point where it's not even real fruit anymore. It's not even real vegetables anymore, but straight fake chemically altered food. So by choosing to make that effort and make that willingness to go out and find a local farmers market and that personal connection with where your food comes from, it gives you a chance to one, support your community and stop supporting these private corporations and the capitalist system, right? That's a whole nother spiel for another video, right? But it also gives you the ability to see see the process of your food and create a more meaningful connection. And when you go buy it, you know, sometimes farmers do make food with preservatives, and that can kind of, you know, affect the food a little bit. Not kind of, it will affect the food a little bit. But like I said about the cooking thing, our goal is to move towards a more natural way of eating. So if it has preservatives and you absolutely can't find any organic food, then, you know, go for it. Because like I said, I want to restate it, the goal is to eat more naturally. But if you can find organic food, be aware that it is going to go bad quickly because there's no preservatives, but also it's going to carry a more high vibrational scale because it's pure natural, pure organic, like nature has brought it up. And so that is what's giving those high vibrations. The closer and the more essence of naturability that the food contains, it's going to carry a more higher vibration. And so for my people who may be watching this right now, it's like eating healthy is expensive, going vegetarian is bland. Two things. That's that programming in you. And in my habits video where I talked about changing your habits can change your paradigm, I gave some replacements for meat. So definitely go check that one out. And also understand that it's gonna take getting uncomfortable. It's gonna take doing something new. It's gonna take us being willing to make the effort for our own health, for our own vibration, for our own consciousness, to go out and do some research, to go out and be willing to find locals farmers market or find a place that sells chips that are not made with all these red 40s and dyes and chemicals, but can give me that same sensation, because it's out there. But these conveniences, as I've stated in almost all my videos, they have got us so dependent, and it's feeding us food that is killing us very, very slowly. And so we're not, you know, thinking about this because, oh, nothing's happening right now, but it's happening over time. And if we can begin to move to feeding us a more high vibrational diet, a more natural diet, we can begin to add life to ourselves instead of take life to ourselves. I think there was this documentary or something I saw. It was like when you eat McDonald's, you're like taking 10 years off your life. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't doubt it because that, like I said, that food is so unnatural. It's so dead. And just because they pump it with so much addictive and tasting good chemicals, it gets our senses going. So by moving from unnatural foods to more natural foods, like I said, we are adding life to ourselves. And so it gets me into the kicker, right? Which is music and entertainment. And music and entertainment, right? Your low vibrational music is going to be coming from those mainstream, right? That same repetitive music with talking about messy breakups, sex, robbing, killing, all of that. And then you couple that with the frequency of the beat, right? That frequency of the beat plays a key role because it's affecting our internal energetics. It's affecting our genes, our DNA, right? I'm gonna leave a Terrence Howard vid in the resource tab talking about that very thing, right? So when we're listening to this music, it's affecting us on a subconscious level. And so while we may not be doing those things in the songs, right? If we listen to those things 24/7, it's going to affect our consciousness. And in a way, if you're allowing yourself to stay in these lower vibrations centered around, oh, I need me some some cat. I need me some horniness, like you want to feel those desires 24/7, then you have allowed your mind to operate solely at that low vibrational consciousness, right? And so for TV, for example, it's the same thing. They throw, big names, big stars, and they throw shows about like judging people, drama, melodramatic, all of this stuff, and it gets us in this gossip mood. It gets us seeing these things in this way. And so we have to be willing to ask ourselves, like, do we not see how many ads are thrown at us while we're watching this? They want us to go spend money on the same actors that we watching. Like they don't already got hella money, right? So like the question becomes, instead of spending money on that tote bag, why not go spend money on a book? The Four Agreements, perhaps. Why not go spend money on investing in your self-education and bettering yourself mentally and bettering your diet, right? Rather than spending money on that NBA YoungBoy ticket, why not go to a local farmers market and splurge on some natural foods? And then, you know, for my people who, and this is going to get me into my point about discipline and balance and indulging, for my people who may not be willing to give up, binge watching TV shows, this goes into my video I dropped on Tuesday talking about how we can use technology to begin to no longer to distract ourselves, but to begin to help us evolve consciously. So why not choose to watch shows that are elevating our consciousness? Why not choose to watch YouTube videos that are elevating ourselves? Because there's some entertaining podcasts, there's some entertaining shows out there, right? So you take that money that you were gonna spend on that NBA YoungBoy ticket, right? And instead of going buying some low vibrational food, you go buy some, high vibrational, you support a local farmers market, you supported your community, then you come home, right? And maybe you throw on a podcast, 19 Keys, for example, right? Or maybe if you like, man, I'm not trying to get all deep right now. What if you watch Atlanta? Atlanta is a very good show. I watched that show. It's by Donald Glover. Like the thing is, when you watch TV, it's kind of hard to escape certain things like sex, like uh drugs and things like that. But it's about, for me, it's about the meaning. Like what was the meaning of creating that show? And there is so much deeper meanings in the way Donald Glover shot Atlanta and why he shot Atlanta. And I feel like it teaches the realness of life, but showing it outside of just what music tries to portray, or the destructiveness that is portrayed by certain other modalities of shows. So Atlanta is a good show. Movie wise, I've kind of moved out of watching movies and more centered on YouTube and education and things like that. But when I was really big into movies, and I recently just watched Dune 2 for like the fifth time. I really like Dune. But movies like Dune are pretty good. Anything that heal the inner child. So like for me, I love Marvel movies. Into the Spider Verse, um, Tokyo Vice on HBO Max. It was pretty good. And like I said, it's kind of hard to escape certain things, but the meaning behind the show had a much deeper meaning. So it's just about being truthful with ourselves about what is the meaning and the intention of us watching this show. What is that show doing to us consciously? And just taking a moment to stop and ask ourselves, is the choices that we are doing, are they aligning with the new version of ourselves that we are trying to create? And this gets me into my point about discipline, because as I grew in my spiritual journey, I began to do all these things, but sometimes I would find myself very stiff. And then when I went back into maybe a desire, I would shame myself, and I had to exit out of this and realize that earthly desires are here for a purpose, right? But if we cannot say no to these things and give ourselves time to elevate and see ourselves in new light, then these earthly desires have become our master, and in a way they begin to stunt our evolution. So there is a reason for light and darkness, and there's a reason for fasting and indulging. It's to help us learn to accept all aspects of self. So if we have been in this state of constantly consuming these low vibrational things, these self-talk, the low vibrational self-talk, the low vibrational foods, and these low vibrational medias, right? Then maybe it's time for us to operate and create a new self, see ourselves outside of those low vibrations, and choose to elevate, choose to abstain from these things, and try feeding ourselves new vibrations, right? And so we can begin to allow ourselves to operate in new light. And this goes to my point about there lies purpose for earthly desires. So when we abstain from these things, we have now been able to say no to these things. But also in that, when we go on that journey, we can outgrow certain things. And when we try to go back, it don't hit the same because we done seen a whole new level. We done seen a whole new mountain, right? And and when we go back to those things, we don't have to say, "Oh, I'm less spiritual because of this. Oh, I'm less oh my vibration completely drops because of this," because we have to understand what we do frequently becomes our frequency. So if we've been raising our vibration, like constantly frequency, just because we touch back into that one desire, it doesn't completely destroy the high vibrational frequency that we've been at. But if we allow it to now dip us back and it becomes that loop, then we have. So we have to have those real conversations with ourselves, and also ask ourselves, okay, we just went through all of these things that we named, right? How to, heal ourselves through inner talk, how to raise our vibration through inner talk, how to move towards more high vibrations through eating more natural foods, how to uh, raise our conscious level through changing the things that we're watching, right? But coming off of no discipline into trying to be disciplined, it can be difficult. And we don't have to force ourselves. So we have to be willing to ask ourselves, what do I want to pick up? Maybe it's that inner talk. Maybe I want to try uh maybe I want to try that self inner talk, and try going into my subconscious. Why do I look at myself this way? Why do I react this way? Going into things like that. And then if we can get consistent with that, maybe the food now, maybe now, okay, I'm noticing my mind state, my mental state changes when I eat these low vibrational foods. I know I'm healing, but when I do this, I feel this. So maybe it sparks a chain reaction into trying to change the way we eat. It's understanding that if we can now take our energy from just being directed into low vibrational things and start to direct it inward and start to elevate in any type of way, that's what matters, is that we're making an effort for ourselves, and we don't have to try to add everything and put all this pressure on ourselves and be so perfect, because evolution, it takes time. So we have to start from somewhere so that we can start this new energetic wheel, and exit out of the loop of those low vibrational vibrations per se. And so that is my spiel on how to begin to feed yourself new vibrations, feed yourself higher vibrations. Remember, what you do frequently becomes your frequency. So when you begin to start this new train, we have to remember that we've lived a certain way for so long. So don't beat down on yourself or lose hope if those same old patterns are beginning to rise, because what's happening is as you bring in that new energy, it's beginning to push out that old energy, but it has to come back, right? Because we are electromagnetic field. How does that electromagnetic field work? It's a vortice, right? So we it comes in and then it comes out. So what we've been emitting has been going out and being our reality for so long. So when we start to implement that new and that old pattern comes back, we have to understand that it's a test. It's a test for us to use those new practices, whether it's meditation, journaling, affirmations, right? To keep us centered, to keep our energy growing towards evolution. So when we see that old pattern arise, because we've allowed ourselves to operate on new conscious level by feeding us that new diet of energy, it gives us a chance to see the old from a new perspective, allowing us to alchemize it and not let it define us, but let it be alchemized into the energy that helps us evolve. All right. Thank you so much for joining me here. My name is Mark Anthony. If you guys want more personal guidance, I've started offering one-on-one sessions. The link is in the description below. Once again, thank you so much for joining me here. This is Elevated Talk. Welcome to the Cosmic Show. Gratitude to the ancestors and peace to all. Much love.